right, and welcome to Not Suitable for Adults. It's a podcast where all the hosts are kind of tired today.
It's a holiday weekend.
And we've been running
busy.
around.
Yeah, but we take the time for you guys.
Yeah, so...
Most of the time.
Except for that one time.
Except for a couple of times when we're like, never mind.
Yeah. So, let's chat about a few things. The first thing on the docket today is NeverEnding Story II.
Yeah.
I
mean, I shouldn't say too much about it because really it has been a hot minute since I saw either one of the NeverEnding stories. It's just that it does not interest me.
Yeah, so I spoke recently about NeverEnding Story and the fact that I like it very much. And NeverEnding Story 2 is much worse. It's I forgot.
You mean it's a worse movie?
Yeah, it's just not as good in any way. And I feel like I remembered it being better, but it might be because I haven't seen NeverEnding Story 2 for longer since I had seen the first NeverEnding Story. It's been even longer since I saw 2. So, quick rundown. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it because it's not.
You say that every week.
But I'm really not.
Okay. We'll see.
NeverEnding Story 2 is also about Bastian. The same boy from the first one, but because it was filmed 6 years later, everyone in this movie has been recast.
Every single person, even Bastian?
You know what's funny? Every single person except one. The bookstore owner. They made sure to bring him back. Everyone else, including any adults that we saw, like Bastian's dad, is 100% recast.
Okay.
And it was too bad. I was bummed about it at first, and I guess I understood later because it was filmed 6 years late. It's not like they were made back to back.
6 years is a long time in a life.
Yeah, for sure. I wish that they had found, I feel like now we live in such a day where when you make a movie, almost everyone is thinking, what if there's a sequel? And they sort of are thinking ahead to what that might be like. And figuring out a way to get the original actors back would be a really cool follow-up. Mm-hmm. But also, I get it. Like, the kid was 7 in the first one, or however old. It was probably supposed to be, 10. And then being 16 would have been a lot more. So, I get it. I did learn some interesting facts about this, but I wanted to finish the quick synopsis. The basic synopsis of this is... the beginning of the story, Bastian is at odds with his dad again. His dad is like a concrete, down-to-earth person.
Oh yeah, because his mom is gone. His mom, Moonbeam or whatever her name is.
Moonchild. That's right.
Oh, that's even worse.
And once again, I thought about this. So
was she like of American Indian or Native American descent?
Yeah. No.
Yeah, no?
Yeah, no. She wasn't. They actually show her in this movie. There's a flashback sequence to her, reading stories to Bastian when he's little.
And she looks ethnically...
blonde hair, blue eyes.
Caucasian?
Yeah. She, just could be, had hippie parents or something.
Right.
But, I don't know. But, yeah, her name was Moonchild, but that's beside the point.
Okay.
Well, I guess it's part of the point because Bastian's dad, he says
Steve
fully maybe 3 times in this movie, listen, I'm an engineer. I believe in everything that I can see. And he says the exact same, it's like he's an action figure. He says the exact same phrase and then the last time he says it, he's like, oh, I guess I say that a lot.
I'm an engineer.
He says, I'm an engineer. I believe in whatever I can see.
Oh, okay.
He says, and so the point is
my eyes tell me the truth, not my imagination.
Engineers don't have imaginations. They don't build stuff from nothing. But that's what he is trying to convey.
Engineers don't need imaginations.
Yeah. Is that he doesn't have time for fantasy and imagination. He's an engineer. He believes in anything he can see. And what I don't understand, it got me thinking about how, let's call him Steve. I don't know his name. Steve and Moonchild got together.
And made Bastion.
Is
Bastion, maybe I asked this last week, is Bastion his full name Sebastian, or is it just Bastion?
I don't think they ever say. That's my assumption. Is that his
Which
name
one?
is Sebastian, but they call him Bastion.
Well, Sebastian is not even shortening it to Bastion is not common.
Yeah.
So Moonchild and Steve getting together, sure, they're going to have a Sebastian. I've heard of Sebastian. I've heard of Bastion, but not a lot of people do a Bastion.
Yeah.
Nobody does Moonchild. Everybody does Steve.
Yeah. So, and that's the spinoff series. Everybody does Steve. It got me thinking a lot about how his parents got together. Mm-hmm. But so the beginning of the movie, Bastion's doing, I don't remember what he was doing. He was running around doing something. He's wearing a terrible outfit because it's the early 90s. But he's wearing like a bad outfit with this really bad vest on top of it. And you don't understand until later. His dad's going out like on a date with this girl from work, and Bastion's like, he's like, oh yeah, I can tell you're going out because you're wearing a tie. And his dad says something like, well, yeah, dressing the part's part of it, Bastion. Look at that terrible rag that you're wearing. He says that, like the terrible rag you're wearing. And then Bastion goes, and turns to his dad and goes, I like it. And then he goes, besides, Mom made it. Did you forget? And we find out later that this is like a sweater she made him years ago when he was little bitty.
But it only fits him now?
But it only fits him now, and like the sleeves have worn off, so it wasn't intended to be a vest, it was a full sweater. And he's worn it down because he's worn it so much.
But it only fits him now, so it's not like he's worn it for years.
I guess it's kind of stretched over him, and then the flashback where we see the sweater, it was way too big for him. So it was like, it was supposed to be kind of a grow into it thing. Mm-hmm. This really isn't the point. Like, it's sweet. It's sweet because it's a thing his mom made for him, but it is legitimately ugly. Mm-hmm. So take with that what you will. So
what would you be wearing right now if your mom, so go back in time.
I'm going back.
Your mom made something for you, made an article of clothing or customized it in any way or something. I have mine immediately in my brain. So you know how like at Walmart you could just get the matching sweatsuit pairs?
Yeah.
Like the sweatpants with the matching color shirt. She would take those and she would then paint like puff paint.
Fabric paint,
Yeah, fabric, like puff paint on them and make Christmas sweaters and different seasons or why am I only really thinking of Christmas sweaters? But I feel like there was more. There was some like flowers and stuff like that. That's what, if I had something that my mom made, it would be a sweatshirt, sweatpants combo made with fabric paint.
It's the same. My
really?
Mom, my mom made us, me and Jenny made us these matching. It was almost, and Mom, I know she's listening, so this is not a,
no, we're
this
not.
is not a didn't like it thing. It's just a thing
no.
we're remembering. But it was very Mrs. Weasley-like because it was a sweater shirt with a big S in it. But the S on the front was in Christmas lights.
Ooh.
And so she did.
So it is very holiday-ish.
Yeah.
I feel like they both took on, like, because I'm remembering like a lot of poinsettia type.
I think at one point she made similar things for like Halloween time. She made some jack-o'-lantern thing. So yeah, but
seasonal.
The thing is, and this is in keeping with the early 90s theme, I think that was a very early 90s mom thing, was like customizing, Hey, listeners, if you had a mom who did this, get at us, because we want to hear about it, and if you have pictures, that's even better.
Fabric paint, like the puff, when I'm saying puff,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
It sort of raises off, but it sticks firmly to the fabric.
Yes. Love you, Mom.
So here's what happens in NeverEnding Story II.
Okay.
The point of this movie, so the point of the first movie was the times are changing and no one has any time anymore for fantasy, right?
Right.
And so it was this idea that Bastion just had to save that idea, like creativity in general, from the nothing. And that was like it being erased from history. In this one, he's fighting against a thing called the emptiness. And what happens in the emptiness is he has this necklace. It's called the Auryn, which we saw in the first one.
Say it again.
Auryn. Auryn is how it's spelled.
Okay. Aury. Okay.
It's this pendant of these two intertwined snakes sort of doing an Ouroboros eating the tail thing. And they're silver and gold, and they hang from a chain around his neck. And so we learn at the end, and the childlike empress, the empress of the land, tells him, like, you can, now that you've saved Fantasia, you can make wishes, and whenever you make a wish, it'll make Fantasia better. At the beginning of this one...
And her name's Moonchild now, right?
Right. But they just call her the childlike empress. They never say Moonchild again.
Okay. Lots of childs.
Yeah. So at the beginning of this one, there's bad guys in Fantasia, which we've never really seen before. And the bad guys are this, like, kind of witch lady. And it's very... Folks out there, I know Natalie's not as familiar, but it's very like Rita Repulsa from the Power Rangers. She's very stylized and has these sort of hench people that hang out with her. One of them's a bird called Nimbly that goes down and tries to tempt Bastion to do the thing that I'm going to describe. And this other guy called Tri-Face, who has sort of a rotating... It's pretty cool, actually, for early night, but he's got different faces from, like, playing cards, and it'll turn and a different face will come around, but it's always for whatever reason, it's always the same guy. It's just a different face. And he invents this machine that whenever Bastion makes a wish on Auryn, that it'll steal one of his memories.
Steal whose memory?
Bastion.
Okay, so if he makes a wish on Auryn... It steals a memory. And who gets the memory? It goes
to, well, they have it gets stored in like this big marble sort of thing.
Okay.
And then the point of that is to make him wish enough. They want to try and get him to use up a bunch of wishes so that he forgets the childlike empress and Fantasia so that they can take over Fantasia.
Because he's the hero of the story.
Right.
And if he's out of the way, if he doesn't remember that he's supposed to be the hero.
Right. Then they can win.
Okay.
So that's what it is. And the overarching theme is, it's kind of weird because they still want you to believe in like this fantasy world. But the point is kind of, don't be too fantastical. It's almost like don't forget reality, kind of, which is a weird,
right? Yeah, like don't lose yourself in the fantastical world because there is a real world,
right? Okay, so that's the point of the movie.
I don't know that's making me think of something. Oh, maybe it's the lock and key. That series when they go into the mirror, and you could lose yourself in the mirror because you forget what a real world is. Sorry, something was poking at my brain on that was making me think of that.
It's a good show, suitable for adults.
Yeah, Lock and Key.
But yeah, this movie is not good. The acting is less good. The effects are less good.
And you said it was 6 years in the future, and the effects are less good.
Yeah.
Less budget, I guess.
Well, so I actually did a little bit of reading on this movie, and part of it is, so the director, both of these films were produced in West Germany, so this is before the end of the Cold War. So these were coming out of sort of the West German film, like it was basically the European sort of Hollywood. But they were both totally in English and starring Americans. It was just produced there. And it turns out that in this movie, there were a lot of concerns about child labor laws and not being able to have enough time with the child actors, because there's still several child actors. And so they worked really fast, and it turned out they worked they worked ahead of where their effects team could keep up with them sometimes. And so there's a lot of times when I guess they had sort of half done practical effects, and then they would have to go back and do a visual effect in post-production that wasn't as good because it was 1990. So yeah, part of it is not so much budget, but just the pace of the filming schedule. I also found out, I put my phone away. I think his name's Jonathan Brandis is the kid who plays Bastian in this one. And he has sort of a familiar face. He was on a bunch of other stuff in the 90s. But I found out, and this is sad news, that he's a member of the 27 Club.
Really?
Yeah.
What was his thing?
So he...
Tell me his name again.
I believe it's Jonathan is his first name, and last name is Brandis.
I wanted to look him up since you said he had a familiar-looking face. I wanted to see if I recognize him.
He had a bunch of... He was most famous for this... I think it's called Sequest, was this show in the 90s that became a big deal, and he had a recurring role on that. And he had a lot of sort of bit parts on a bunch of other shows. And then he was in some movies, and he was trying to get his career kind of back on track because he was on, I think One Life to Live was his first thing when he was little in the 80s. And then he was in this, which should have been a big thing, but then this movie wasn't great.
Yeah.
And then he was on this other show that should have been good. And after his sort of late teens, his career started to kind of spiral. And he was trying to get back on track. He was in the movie Heart's War, which I've never seen, but I've heard is good. But he was in that movie, and he was expecting a larger role. And when the movie came out, his part had been significantly cut. And so he was in it, but he was just in it for a little while. And apparently, according to people close to him, that just spiraled him. He went into depression, and he tried to cover ears if you have kids listening, but he attempted to commit suicide, and he ended up dying in the hospital, which is always a sad thing to hear. But I ended up finding out a lot more about the production and the and the actors of this movie than the movie itself. That's always sad to hear, though.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
But NeverEnding Story II. Listen, it's not a wonderful movie, and I will say though, Cora caught some of it. I was sitting there watching it because I'd seen the first one. I wanted to watch the second one for this, and she caught some of it. And when it was over, she said, "Daddy, that was a nice movie." And I was like, "Oh, okay, sure."
Right.
But she really liked Falcor, the big sort of dog-looking dragon, which is someone brought back from the first movie, which is cool. So she was really into him. But so that's NeverEnding Story 2. Mostly sad news to do with NeverEnding Story 2.
Oh, wow. That's too bad.
Yeah.
Wow.
So let me talk briefly again about another show I've been watching, and again, I'm not going to go deep into it, but I've seen a lot of people, this is an anime thing now. I've seen a lot of people talk about this show, My Hero Academia, which is basically, it's actually very similar to Adventures on Graduation. It's about these kids so it's in a imagined future where people are born with what they call quirks, which are sort of superpowers. And most people have just really mild ones, like they can float stuff to them or something. But some people have these really big ones, and they can go to special high schools to develop them so they can become superheroes. And so this is that. It's all about this boy who I can't remember. I'm sorry, I'm bad with it's all like native Japanese names, and so it's hard for me to remember. But they call him Deku. And it's about this kid who he starts out with no quirk. He's one of like 20% of all people who is born without a quirk. And then he is able to get a quirk from someone, which is not something you're supposed to be able to do, but he inherits a quirk from like the biggest, baddest superhero out there, who's called All Might, he's basically Superman. And so at the last second, he gets a quirk and he gets to go to school to be a superhero. And it's all about him sort of meeting these other kids who have quirks and being in different sorts of competitions with them and fighting real bad guys. It's a really fun show. It is on, I'm watching it on Hulu. It is a dubbed show. If you're an anime person, it's there. You can either watch it dubbed or subtitled, either one. And I don't know. I just want to quickly mention that I've been watching that because, and that's a purely for me show. It's rated TV 14. It's not really for Cora, but it is a cartoon, and in my book, that counts.
No. There are many cartoons out there that.
Well, yeah, I know. I also just watched Rick and Morty, and that definitely doesn't count. But because it's TV 14, it's possible that we have listeners out there who would have kids interested in.
Oh, for sure, yeah. TV 14 kids, people that are 14-year-olds are babies.
Yeah, all of them.
They're all just little bitty babies, so they don't need to watch Rick and Morty.
No, although Rick and Morty's funny.
I've been watching The Simpsons lately.
Oh yeah,
I hadn't really talked about that on the podcast before. It is not really suitable for kids. It's more suitable for adults. But I am surprised at how much I am enjoying it. I never realized. I was just like, oh, I'll just give it a whirl. I'll watch a couple episodes and just see what all the fuss is about. Watched it. I'm loving it. Like, it's an odd thing for me to like, I think. It doesn't go really with my usual aesthetic. So, anyway, The Simpsons.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Random, sorry.
That's what we're watching for ourselves right now.
Yes. For animation for ourselves.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, let's do this. Let's take a quick break in Promoville, and then we'll come back and we'll have a little activity.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Off to Promoville.
Yay! Whee!
Oh.
I was imagining it being like a roller coaster. I don't know why.
And we're back. From the roller coaster called Promoville. We stood in line and we waited our turn. We went off that big drop.
I don't. And also, who says wee?
Yeah, that's what I say on a roller coaster. Wee!
Ooh, you hate roller coasters.
Well, that's not sure.
Okay.
All right, so you have an activity for us.
Not really an activity, just a fun little. Let me put some information into your ear holes.
Well, fun facts.
Yeah. So I looked at the National Institute of Environmental Health Sciences website.
As one would.
And they have a kids section. And it's really interesting and super educational for you guys that are, trying to figure out homeschooling, or some supplementary stuff for your kids. This seems like a pretty interesting website. And they have in the kids environment / kids health section a bet you didn't know thing. So I thought it might be fun to tell you a couple things I bet you didn't know. The first one, I believe everybody does know already and has also attempted. It is impossible for most people to lick their own elbow.
Yeah, but anytime you say that, one person goes, "No, it's not. Watch," and they
That's what I'm saying. Well, that's why it says most people.
Yeah.
Okay. A crocodile cannot stick out its tongue.
Okay.
just a little A shrimp's heart is in its head. So when it was like, are you thinking with your heart or with your head?
Yes.
You both. Put your hands together.
Always.
It is physically impossible for pigs to look up into the sky.
That's probably for the best.
Why?
Because pigs are supposed to be really smart too, right? Like, I think pigs are one of those sort of overlooked animals.
Yeah. Parenting break.
If
we
they
gotta take a parenting break.
Anyway, quick parenting break there. I was just saying because pigs are one of those, like, they're actually pretty intelligent animals. Like, if they could look up at the stars and, like, wonder what else is out there, they might overthrow us. That was going to be the whole joke. And then we got interrupted. And
so what's limiting the pigs from overthrowing the human race is that they cannot look up in the sky.
Yeah, they can't dream about what's out there.
Well, they can dream.
But they can't dream about what's out. They can't look up at the sky and go, wow, I wonder if we're alone.
Can you imagine picking up a pig, okay?
And then they see the sky.
And then they see the sky and they go, what? Okay. If you sneeze too hard, you could fracture a rib.
I know someone that happened to.
Ouch.
I think it was my cousin.
Really?
Yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Ouch. Wearing headphones for just an hour could increase your bacteria in your ear by 700 times.
All right. Podcasting
/ being a modern day parent.
Or just human.
I have headphones on all the time. In the course of an average lifetime, while sleeping, you may eat around 70 assorted insects and 10 spiders or more.
Delicious.
I wanted to put that one in there as a special little nod to my
just for your brother,
sweet baby brother, Benjamin.
Yeah.
We all know how much he loves those spiders.
Yeah, he eats them a lot.
Like fingerprints, everyone's tongue print is different. Okay. I'm imagining.
Too bad the police can't use that.
No, right.
His tongue prints are everywhere on this crime scene.
Gross. I'm just imagining somebody like getting arrested and then getting their tongue printed. Mm-hmm. Ew. Let's see. The longest one-syllable word, or there's two. The longest one-syllable words in the English language are scraunched.
Scraunched?
Scraunched.
I do not believe that's a word.
Scraunched.
And?
Hold on. I'm looking up the meaning of the word scraunched.
Scraunched.
And strengthed.
Strengthed?
Okay.
I'm sorry. These are made up words. How did you lift all those weights? I just strengthed them.
Okay. Scraunched.
I just scraunched them up in a little ball.
Like making a crushing noise. Scraunch.
So making a crunching noise is scraunching?
Yeah. It's a verb. Scraunch is making a crushing noise.
Nope.
Scraunch.
Nope, it's made up. I mean, I know all words are made up, but this is beyond the pale.
Why would this be scraunch, making a crushing noise?
I think someone was just like, I need to make the longest one-syllable word.
And
Scraunched.
Strengthed.
Mm-hmm. I can't wait to learn what this word means.
Strength is what it is. Strengthed.
Strengthed. No, you need to tell me more. That's not a thing.
Strengthed.
Strength is a word, but the past tense of a noun is nothing.
It's a simple past tense and past participle of strength.
No. Strength is not a verb. Strength is a noun. You can't past tense a noun.
Hold on. I'm really confused.
To use one's strength. To strength. You strengthed it.
Strength. Verb. To give strength to. To strengthen.
No.
Babe.
So the word people are wrong. The word people they just snuck this one in. They said, we promised long one-syllable words, and we beefed it. So here we go. Let's make up two words and quick, put them in the dictionary. Because strength is nothing.
Okay. I'm just going by what I'm told right here, but I'm also a very gullible person. Some suggest that squirreled could be included, but squirrel is intended to be pronounced as 2 syllables, squirrel.
Squirrel.
According to most dictionaries. Daddy, I want a squirrel.
Ugh.
Dreamt is the only English word that ends in the letters MT.
Okay.
You're okay with that one?
I mean, sure.
Almonds are a member of the peach family.
Oh.
Because we had such a long discussion about those words, and now I'm super worried that I'm said something wrong.
No, these are not your fault. These are this website's fault and this government agency. They're the ones who are failing our children by saying these 2 made up words are words.
Wow. Okay. Let me see if there's anything else. Stewardesses is the longest word that is typed with only the left hand.
Oh.
Stewardesses. Okay,
Nuh-uh,
I'm done.
Stewardesses. to have stewardess.
Okay, I'm gonna be done because now you're acting irate about something that I said that I read on a website.
It's all good. It's for fun.
It's for fun. Maine is the only state that has 1 syllable name.
Cool.
Okay, I'm done. I'm done with you. I'm out.
Well, tell us about something you watched.
Yes. So we were asked to review the who asked me?
So the
franchise?
the podcast is called Franchise Players Pod.
Yes.
And they are the ones who sent us on the quest of shows created by the Teletubbies creators.
Yes. So I've done Teletubbies and I've done Into the Night Garden. ... You guys no, Teletubbies is not my jam. Into the Night Garden is a little bit better for me, personally. Mm-hmm. So we're gonna complete this triad. Did you guys know there's another one? It's sort of a little, sort of another one. It is actually only created by Andrew Davenport and does not include his regular partner, Ann Wood.
Oh, okay.
Andrew Davenport and Ann Wood are the 2 creators of Teletubbies and Into the Night Garden. Moon and Me, which is the name of the show, is just created by Andrew Davenport.
Okay.
And it is brand spanking new.
Okay.
It just premiered last year. And so there's only 1 season out. It is, and I'll get to why it's not there's not a whole lot of it. So it airs on Universal Kids, and it is for the little guys. It's for preschoolers, and even younger than Cora. It would be too young for Cora. So Andrew Davenport, for this show, Moon and Me, teamed up with the University of Sheffield to develop a project in which cameras were set up around a toy house.
Okay. And
they observed the day in the life of toys being played with in a toy house.
Oh, okay.
So it's almost like a kind of like a psychological, like a Big Brother kind of thing, where they put up cameras to see what kids liked to do with these toys, particularly in a toy house.
Sure.
A large dollhouse. So using that data, they came up with the TV show Moon and Me.
Okay.
At the beginning of this show, we see the moon, and hush, hush, says the moon, it's time to go to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
The child I can't really tell if it's a girl or a boy. I believe it's a little girl.
Okay.
You don't really see his or her face. They put their doll to bed in the dollhouse, and they have a little trinket of some sort that they put in a little toy chest in the dollhouse and say, like, maybe we can play with this later. And they, like, put it in the dollhouse, and then they put their doll to sleep. They say goodnight, and then they look up at the moon and they say, Moon, can we have a story? And the child kind of falls asleep.
Mm-hmm.
And then the moon says, what a good idea. And the moon is our narrator.
Ah, okay.
The moon comes into play. The moon, it's not like the sun baby thing.
Okay.
The moon doesn't have a face. It's just that we know it's the moon that is speaking over this story. In the dollhouse, we have a little doll named Peppy Nana.
Okay.
And she looks like just like a little kind of rag doll type doll. She wakes up when her human falls asleep. She wakes up and she writes a letter to the moon and sends it to the moon and says that she would like Moon Baby to come play with her.
Okay.
Moon Baby gets the letter, floats down. He lives on the moon. Moon Baby does.
So Moon Baby isn't the moon.
No. Moon Baby lives on the moon.
Okay.
He floats down to play with and have adventures with Peppy Nana and the other toys in the dollhouse during the nighttime when everyone is asleep.
Okay.
Okay. So he gets there and he wakes up everybody with a magical, and you can probably tell me the correct pronunciation of this word, kalimba, or the African thumb piano.
Oh, yeah. I think Kalimba's right.
Oh, cool. So he has a tiny little African thumb piano. It goes doo 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 doo.
By the way, if we're wrong about that, let us know.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Kalimba is correct.
Inside the house, we have Peppy Nana. We also have Mr. Onion, who is an onion. He is he looks like a toy onion.
Yeah, sure.
Collie Wobble, who is a clown. Sleepy Dibolo, a rabbit. Lambkin, a lamb. And Little Nana, which is a tiny kind of version of Peppy Nana.
Okay.
And they also have Lily Plant, but Lily Plant just stays in the house. She doesn't get to go on any adventures.
Oh, poor Lily Plant.
She's a plant.
Is she? So she's not a toy. She's a real plant.
She's a plant in the toy house.
So
she's a toy plant
in the toy house.
Yes.
Okay.
So when these creatures speak on their own, okay, I'm trying to figure out how to describe this. The narrator speaks for them. She says, and then Mr. Onion said, "Look what I found in the," she says that. But in Mr. Onion's voice, he only says onions. Onions.
Okay.
Onions, onions. It's very Teletubbies. It's very Into the Night Garden, where they all have their own little catchphrases, and that's the only thing that they speak. Peppy Nana says, "Tittle toddle, tittle toddle,
Okay.
tittle toddle, tittle toddle," like over and over again.
So the moon
Mm-hmm.
sets this up and says, "Mr. Onion said," and then
Mm-hmm.
and then he goes, "Onions," or says, "Mr. Onion said we should do so and so," and then it goes over to onions and he goes, "Onions."
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's right. Little Nana says, "Pup pup, pip pip," or "poop poop." Kind of a bunch of pup pup pup. And Lambkin says, "Bah."
Okay.
Bah. When everyone is awake, Moon Baby takes out his piano, and they all go, his thumb piano,
Yep.
and they all go into Storyland, where it's a countryside where the characters act out a story. So it's, again, kind of it's very magical. After the story, there is a song, And one of the more popular songs is called A Horse in the House, and that is sung by Michael Bublé.
Oh.
Yes. And it's like, if there were a horsey in the house. Like, you can hear him in that kind of saying, horsey would be bigger than a house. It's funny. Then they do tea time, and then everybody gets sleepy and goes to sleep, and Moon Baby goes on back to the moon.
Okay.
It is so much more subtler. As when you're looking at it, when you're watching it, you don't feel as psychedelic as like Teletubbies and even Into the Night Garden. And remember, I said Into the Night Garden was even more subtle than Teletubbies.
Yeah.
This takes on even more of that. It's very pastel soft. It's very soft colors. It's very gentle narration. And this is, again, intended to calm children. To a lot of it is used for bedtime routines, kind of like Into the Night Garden is used for. Is
this another one where some of the characters are like people in suits?
I was fixing to go into that. This is not like that. It is a mixture of live action, stop motion animation, and small scale rod puppetry. It is not large scale puppetry. It is not adults in costume.
Okay.
It is so intricate that it takes to shoot, produce, and knit together all of the pieces for a single episode. It takes about 12 months. So it is,
and that's why there's not very many episodes.
Exactly. It's extremely intricate. There are also about 500 items specifically created for the show, and all of them are handmade or hand printed.
Good grief.
It's interesting to watch, and you can see that somebody has built these tiny little things to go in it. So it's not on a large scale like Teletubbies and Into the Night Garden are. They aren't adult-sized things. You can tell instead of it looking like an adult-sized rag doll, it's a normal-sized rag doll in a normal-sized dollhouse doing things.
So they're just using close-up photography to make it appear full scale. Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
Yeah. It's out of the three, so out of this triad, and again, this is kind of an offshoot of the first two because it does not include Anne Wood. This is the one that I would recommend more.
Okay.
Because of just the more softness of it. The other two feel a little more chaotic.
A little more in your face.
Yeah. So my ranking of them, I would much rather watch Moon and Me than Into the Night Garden and then Teletubbies.
All right.
So I just thought that might be interesting to kind of do a little bit of a wrap up that it's not even a series, but
yeah, it's kind of a loose trilogy of TV shows.
Yes, very loose.
Well, super duper interesting. Mm-hmm. And this has been another episode of Not Suitable for Adults. We did it. Another one.
Woohoo!
We thank you so much for listening. We've actually had a little uptick in listeners in the last couple of weeks. So if you're new to the show, welcome.
Welcome.
And we're just going to ask, as we always do, that you make sure that you are subscribed somewhere to our show so that you get the show. We do one every single week. With a couple of exceptions, but generally it's every single week. And if you have ideas for shows, or if you have thoughts on shows that we talked about, please feel free to tweet at us. That's at NotForAdultsCast on Twitter, or you can email us at notforadultscast@gmail.com. We really do, as today is showing, we really do take your feedback and your recommendations on shows. Thanks again to Franchise Players Pod for recommending
all three of those. Yeah, I believe.
I think they recommended these shows saying, here's a bunch of ones that are going to be thumbs down.
Mm.
And in the end, I think we found that there's actually some gems in there.
Yeah.
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 And that'll happen often. Listen, our opinions will differ sometimes between each other and maybe between other people, and that's a good thing.
Often.
Yeah.
Not sometimes. It's an often thing.
But as long as all you have to do is just hunker down and just strength it, and it'll be
strengthed.
Yeah, I know, but even just using it, okay. Well,
everybody, please understand. I was reading these from a website, and I really hope I didn't just make like a complete ninny of myself.
I don't think you did. I'm not reacting to you. I just think it's crazy that those words exist. That's all it is.
Okay.
But I love
Scrunched.
you. Nope, not real. So. But yeah, so please just make sure that you're giving us that feedback. We love hearing from you,
and tell somebody about us.
Yeah, spread the word. Get us out there. If you're enjoying it, someone else will probably enjoy it too.
Maybe.
Probably. Who knows? We can't say till you try.
I'm trying to look up more. Scrunched. Yes, listen. Okay, this is from GuinnessWorldRecords.com. Scrunched and the archaic word strengthed, each 10 letters long, are the longest English words that are only one syllable long. 9-letter monosyllabic
Monosyllabic.
Words are scratched, screeched, scrounged, squelched, straights, and strengths.
All right.
Cora's like, finish this up.
So yeah, she's having us wrap it up. So we will. As you're going through this week, just remember to keep being safe, keep making good decisions, and just as long as you remember that you are still the boss.
So watch whatever you want.
Okay, bye.
Bye.